Good day everyone. I am Judy Dizon, and today we were going to tackle about the history, philosophy, and objectives of imprisonment and the development of prisons. Before we were going to talk about the history, philosophy, and objectives, imprisonment, and development of prisons, first we were going to discuss the different programs and services that can help to our offenders. So first, I will just going to mention all the programs and services, and later on we will going to discuss it one by one. So first is the alcohol and substance abuse treatment programs. Second, anger management programs. Third, educational or vocational programs. Fourth, family development programs. Next is guidance and counseling services, library and law library services, recreational programs. Next will be the religious services, sex offender treatment programs, temporary release program, trauma programs, transitional services programs, veteran services, and lastly, volunteer services and programs. So first will be the alcohol and substance abuse treatment program. So drug and alcohol abuse program offers different forms of structured treatment designed to help people struggling with addiction. Alcohol and drug addiction treatment programs can take different forms and last different length of time depending on the level of care recovery needs. So alcohol and substance abuse treatment programs can help in different aspects or in many ways. It depends on how long have you been using illegal drugs and taking alcohol, and how it has affected you. There are these are the purpose of the alcohol and substance abuse treatment program to help people. So first is stop using drugs or alcohol. So of course, it can this program can help you to stop using drugs and alcohol. Second will be safely and comfortably manage the withdrawal period. Next will be gain insight into their addiction through evidence-based therapy. So when we say evidence-based therapy, it is a treatment that is backed with scientific evidence, and it's already proven to be successful. The fourth will be learn the skills they need to remain sober and prevent relapse. So for us to have a stable mind and able to handle our emotions so that we can totally get back to the things we used to. So lastly will be the address any co-occurring mental health disorder. So alcohol and substance abuse treatment program did not focus only on treating those people who are already addict of using alcohol and drug, but also they help on treating those co-occurring mental health disorders, to maintain healthy mind. So next will be the anger management program. So anger management program is refers to a process. It can help people identify stressors. People help steps to help them stay calm in anger management, and they may then handle tense situation in a constructive, positive way. So the purpose of anger management is to help the person decrease anger. So because sometimes we can no longer stop ourselves from getting angry, so that other can actually commit a crime just because they are angry to that person. And also anger management programs it reduces the emotional and physical arousal that anger can cause. So Next will be the educational or vocational programs. No, so it prepares learner for jobs that are based in manual or practical activities. Traditionally, non-academic and totally related to a specific trade, occupation, or vocation. No, so prison education also breaks down racial and ethnic barriers that are often a cause of tension and violence in prisons, significantly improves relation between staff members and the incarcerated, and dramatically enhances the prisoner's self-esteem. No, so these educational or vocational programs, they teach prisoners a variety of useful vocation. Example, they giving them the prisoners will give them a chance to share their abilities and skills of doing something that will be benefit from, no, and it is not just like that. No, aside from doing things that can make them happy, no, it can help improve also their self-esteem, decision making capacities, and confidence in their future. Okay, no, so next will be the family development program. So the program consists of services and projects that focus on family as a unit of personal growth and development. These services build the capabilities of families to care for the foster and optimal development of family members and promote community involvement in building healthy families, and ultimately to promote stability, cohesiveness, resiliency, and empowerment of the people. No, so the family development program. No, so this program help individuals to think deeper and realize on how important family is. No, it teaches them on to interact in a proper way and on how to handle everything about family. No, so the next program will be the guidance and counseling services. No, so guidance and counseling services provided in order to improve the psychological well-being of young prisoners, who will be given an understanding of the psychological well-being so as to apply them in everyday life. Counselors can train their clients to find more positive responses to the challenges they face in life, helping them avoid falling back into crime. This helps reduce the risk of reincarceration after the inmate's release. Now, so as we all know that guidance counselor were going to give an advice on the people who committed wrongdoings, right? No, so telling them on what is wrong or right things to do. So in this program or services, this is actually what they are going to do, no, to give an advice to those who committed crimes. Not just that, but helping them to avoid falling back into crime. No, so especially to those young offenders. No, so by the way, this guidance and counseling services will happen after the inmate's release. No, so or after serving the days equivalent to the crime they are committed. No, so the next program will be the library and law library services. No, so for prisons to achieve these objectives of reformation and rehabilitation and successful reintegration of prison inmates to the society, there is a need of the provision of library services to inmates for their prompt to adequate and timely information. Now, so these services, the purpose of this is exposure of prison inmates to adequate and timely information is necessary because a mind that is informed is open to a reformed character. No, so its services and function are designed to provide the inmates access to information and opportunity of for self-learning, since many of them are cut off from the outside world. No, so next services will next program will be the recreational program. No, so recreational program refers to all those activities that people choose to do to refresh their bodies and mind and make them leisure time more interesting and enjoyable. No, so recreational programs are those sports activity contribute towards the physical well-being of detainees. No, so through these recreational activities, they also reduce levels of stress and tension among detainees and help to maintain or improve their mental health. Next will be the religious services. No, so religious services is a correctional inmates may also become involved with religion to gain protection, meet other inmates, meet volunteers, or obtain special prison resources, physical protection to be safe. Many inmates believe that they need to be part of a group which can provide physical protection from their inmates. No, so these services help them to have less prison infrastructures and adjust in psychologically healthy way to prison life. No, so it also manage their guilt and find motivation, direction, peace of mind, and meaning in life, as well as hope for future. Next is the sex offender treatment programs. This program is our sex offender treatment program, or SOTP, consists of an 18-month intensive treatment program in a therapeutic community environment that allow inmates immediate feedback about their behavior and treatment progress. So this program help the criminals enhance their ability to help themselves. Most people believe some treatment programs will help some offenders to prevent recidivism or to some extent. The next program will be the temporary release program. So temporary release program means that you are released from prison for a specific period of time for a specific purpose or reason. This is to aid offenders in rejoining their communities and finding acceptable work after release. No, so it allows incarcerated individuals who are within 2 years of their earliest release date, no, to become reintegrated and back into their families and community on a gradual basis. It is also upon serving their complete sentence, often known as flatting their sentence, be paroled, be released on suspended sentence or extended confinement. Then an inmate could be also known what do we call this? Temporary release program is also an inmate could be discharged from custody. So the next program will be the The next program will be the trauma program. So trauma programs is a specific approach to therapy that recognizes and emphasizes understanding how the traumatic experience impacts to children's mental, behavioral, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. It reduces incarceration rates by helping to alleviate symptoms that can lead to criminality and recidivism. No? So this program is a form of therapy that can help you deal with emotional response caused by a traumatic event. No, it can also help criminals enhance their ability to help themselves. So the next will be the transitional services program. Transitional Services Program, a three-phase program designed to assist in preparing individuals for return to their community. Additional activities have been developed to assist as they transition within the correctional system. So this program is systematically give inmates information, instructions, and the ability to acquire the tools they may need to find employment. No, housing, clothing, and further their education. The next services will be the veteran services. So the next services will be the veteran services. Now, veteran services provide a wide range of services including traditional hospital-based services such as surgery, critical care, mental health, orthopedics, pharmacy, radiology, and physical therapy. Now, so these veteran services designed to help incarcerated veterans successfully reintegrate back into the community after their release. No, it can also help them to transition back to civilian life in the country they fought to defend. Next is the volunteer services and program. So, volunteer services and program is an unpaid activity where someone gives their time to help and not for profit organization or an individual who they are not related to. No, so volunteerism is a program of the Parole and Provision Administration or PPA aimed to generating maximum effective and efficient citizen participation and community involvement in the process of client rehabilitation, prevention of crime, and the overall administration of criminal justice. So I think this is the last program that I mentioned earlier. So next will be prison. Now, so prison also known as a jail or goal, penitentiary, detention center, correction center, correctional facility, locked up or remand center, is a facility in which inmates or prisoners are confined against their will and usually denied a variety of freedoms under the authority of the state as punishment of various crimes. No, prisons are normally surrounded by fencing walls, earthworks, geographical features, or other barriers to prevent escape, multiple barriers, concertina wire, electrified fencing, secured and defensible main gates, armed guard towers, security lighting, motion sensors, dogs, and grooming patrols may all also be present depending on the level of security. No, so prison is where the offenders or the convicts will put in. No, doon po sila ilalagay if they are caught doing some crime. Next will be punishment. No, so punishment is a painful or unpleasant experience inflicted upon an individual in response to a violation of a rule or law by person or persons who have lawful authority to do so. No, so punishment is given to a person who violates the law or convicted because of its wrongful doing. No, this is putting you into a prison or until you finish the sentence given to you. No? There are 5 types of punishment. This is incapacitation, deterrence, retribution, rehabilitation, and restoration. So I will not just discuss further from it because we will going to discuss it one by one later. No, so that is the 5 types of punishment. Next will be the imprisonment. Now, imprisonment is the purpose of a sentence of imprisonment or similar measurements deprivative of a person's liberty are primarily to protect society against crime and to reduce recidivism. Those purpose can be achieved only if the period of imprisonment is used to ensure so far as possible the reintegration of such person into society upon release so that they can lead a law-abiding and self-supporting life. No, so imprisonment. So in simple words, imprisonment is putting you into a prison or jail or being imprisoned. No, so by the way, when we say recidivism, it is a falling back and usually implies into bad habits or act of a person repeating an undesirable behavior after they have experienced negative consequences of that behavior. No, so that is recidivism. Okay, so next will be the prison reforms. Now, prison reform is the attempt to improve conditions inside prisons, improve the effectiveness of the penal system, or implement alternatives to incarceration, and it also focuses on ensuring the reinstatement of those whose beliefs are impacted by crimes. Now, so prison reforms is actually help offenders to be comfortable inside the prison and help them who are really help those person who are really affected of crime to be restored to their normal life and mentality. No, so these prison reforms give some improvements inside the prison. No, they will put some libraries, basic literacy or for Bible reading, reduction of whipping and beating, commutation of sentence, and separation of women, children, and the sick. Okay, so that is the prison reforms. Next will be a brief history of prison reforms. Now, so most prison historians of the Western world date the birth of the prison. No, so to use Foucault's phrase, to the late 18th century, the era of Enlightenment and European American revolutions. No, prior to the late 18th and early 19th century, the use of imprisonment was limited. The prisons were mainly used to hold debtors and accused awaiting trial and convict persons awaiting their sentence, usually whipping and the stocks or hanging. So by the way, when we say debtors, it is an individuals or businesses that owe money, whether to banks or to the other individuals. As long ago as the 1600s, during the colonial period of American history, Quaker groups and other campaigned against capital or corporal punishment and argued for the use of imprisonment as more humane alternative. So when we say Quaker group, they are the people who belong to a historical Protestant Christian set of denominations known formally as the Religious Society of Friends. No, so for example, founder and governor of the Pennsylvania colony, abolished capital punishment for all crime except murder and treason. So during the 20th century, prison reform group focused on prisoners' rights as means of improving prison condition and alleviating the deprivation of imprisonment. Over recent decades, various national and international organizations have campaigned and worked to promote the importance of prisoners' rights in different regions of the world. So in this period, they think for an alternative way on how to reduce chaos inside the prison, and it comes into their minds that the prisoners' right to improve prison condition. No, so after they find the solution, the national and international organization and work to promote the importance of prisoners' right, no, and they promote it in different regions of the world because they found out that this is more effective than giving those offenders a punishment every time they commit some violation inside the prison. So next will be imprisonment is therefore increasingly recognized as a serious and severe punishment that should constitute only a loss of the right to liberty, no? Not the restriction of the other human rights or the imposition of additional punishment. While many prison reformers have demonstrably improved condition for prisoners over the years, especially Morris and Rothman in 1995, they continue to face significantly challenges in the 21st century. No, so they found out that the imprisonment is a serious and severe punishment to those who violates the law because they don't give the chance to the offenders to have freedom. So inside the prison, they ponder and realize that it's not really good to do anything, no, especially when it is against the law. So next will be the Sing Sing prison. No? So Sing Sing Correctional Facility, or formerly Ossining Correctional Facility, is a maximum security prison operated by the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision in the village of Ossining, New York. It is about 30 miles or 48 kilometers north of New York City on the east bank of Hudson River. It holds about 1,700 inmates and houses the execution chamber for the state of New York until the abolition of capital punishment in New York in 2004. No, so a prison that as much possible to keep prisoner. When we say maximum security, no, this is a prison that thus as much as possible to keep prisoners from escaping and watches them very closely, no. So having a lot of, they will put a lot of security outside and having tall walls, no, or buildings so that they can't really escape. So Sing Sing prison. So the name Sing Sing was derived from the Sink Indian tribe, from whom the land was purchased in 1685 and was formerly the name of the village. In 1970, the prison's name was changed to the Ossining Correctional Facility, but it reverted to its original name in 1985. No, so this is the Ossining, New York look like. No, this first picture. And then this, the other side, this is where the Ossining, New York located, no? And then Sing Sing Prison, or also known as the Sing Sing Correctional Facility. It's located in Asining, New York, and it was constructed in the village of Sing Sing on the east bank of Hudson River, some 30 miles or 48 kilometers north of New York City. So, history of prison, of Sing Sing Prison. No? So, in 1797, New York City built its very first prison in the neighborhood known as the Greenwich Village. No, the name of this correctional facility was the Newgate Prison, designed with 432 inmates, and in 1821 the prison was holding 817 inmates. The Newgate Prison could not handle New York's growing population. No, then Mr. Elam Lenz, the former U.S. captain, gives a task to construct a new prison. No? So, Mr. Elam Lenz he was given a task to construct a new modern prison. So, he chooses the small village named Sing Sing as the location for this new prison. And by the way, he was the warden in Sing Sing Prison. So when we say warden, he is the person responsible for the supervision of a particular place or thing, or for ensuring that regulation associated with it are obeyed. No? So in simple words, he was the one who are responsible of ensuring the regulations associated with it, and he will surely that the prisoners inside will obey that regulation. So Sing Sing comes from a name American word sing sing, which means stone upon stone, stone upon stone, or stony place. No, it is called stony place because it has a large quantity of limestone, also known as the Sing Sing marble. With a total cost of $20,100, the Sing Sing, the state acquired 130 hectares at the village of Sing Sing in 1825. So Captain Led transported 100 convicts from Auburn Prison to Sing Sing. But when the convicts arrived, there is no building to house them. So they were shocked when they already arrived at the area and there is no building standing there to house them. So the convicts were able to build their own prison. So the construction of the first building is 3 years. The prisoners occupied the cell they had built was on November 23, 1828. So imagine how long it is when they build the first building. So Sing Sing would make a first mark of history by streamlining of prison methodology that would be known as the New York system. So later on we will know if what is this New York system? So next will be the Sing Sing prison cell. So the Sing Sing prison cell constructed the 1,825 cell blocks. The incarcerated excavation marble from the nearby marble quarry. As I mentioned earlier, it is from the limestone, or known as the marble, Sing Sing marble. The original building was 476 feet long or 44 feet wide and 4 tiers high, with a capacity of 800 cells, as built of Sing Sing marbles or the limestones. Each cell was 7 feet deep or 3 feet 7 feet deep, 3 feet or 3 inches wide, and 6 feet or 7 inches high. So imagine how small the cell it is. Imagine if you are the one who put in there. No, it is so very. I think it's very hot because there is no window. So in early 19th century, there are two philosophies competing for dominance. No, so first, competing for dominance. No, this is to they compete which of this system will going to use for the Sing Sing prison. No, so this is the Auburn system and the Pennsylvania system. No, so what are these system? So first is the Pennsylvania system. An early prison system requiring inmates silence, individual cells, and inmates labor in those cells. Solitary confinement fosters penitence and encourages reformation. Now, so when we say solitary confinement, it is a form of imprisonment distinguished by living in single cells with little or meaningful contact with other inmates. Strict measures to control contraband and the use of additional security measures and equipment. No, so this system is distinguished in living in a single cells. No, not like today that a lot of prison is using in one cell. No, pwede siya na maging 5 sa isa na kulungan, pwedeng 10. It depends on how big the cell. No, but in this Pennsylvania system, hindi pwede na yung dalawang offenders or convicts ay magsasama sa isang cell. No, hindi pwede. Sa isang cell, isang tao lang dapat. So, Auburn system. Auburn system is the congregate confinement. No? Person work during the day and were kept in solitary confinement at night, with enforced silence at all times. Cheaper to construct and get started, offered better vocational training, and produce more money for the state. Now, so when we say congregate, it is gather or unite. No, so here in this system, congregate confinement is they focus on congregate confinement naman, no? So the prisoners were gathered together, but they are not allowed to talk with each other, no? As it says there that it enforced silence at all time. Even they are working together, they are not allowed to talk with its co-worker, no? So, and also they were going to in this system, the prisoners were going to work, no, as their training to produce money for the state. Next is the Auburn system. No, notable element of Auburn system was white uniform. No, white uniform. Sorry, by the way, system was stripes uniform. Stripes uniform. Okay, no, so Auburn system. Notable element of Auburn system was stripes uniform. No, so you're alam ko na magtatanong kayo na why it is white stripes uniform. No, for the convicts to be easily recognized. No, if ever there are trying to escape, no, the people in the city will easily recognize that that is a convict. No, because they are wearing that kind of uniform. No, next will be the walking in lockstep. No, alam ko na you are asking also bakit ganito siya, no, walking in a lockstep. No, because to keep prisoners under control during the mass. No, marches of several hundreds prisoners from workplace to mess, no, to cell and several times a day, no, for para hindi sila magkakahiwa-hiwalay, no. So that is the purpose of that walking in a lockstep. Next is the difference between the two systems. The Auburn system was criticized for its being too harsh on punishment and lack of having rehabilitative potential. No, later on we will know why this system called the harsh on punishment. No, malalaman natin mamaya kung bakit sila tinatawag na why they are criticized for its being too harsh on punishment. No, and the next one is the Pennsylvania system. Was criticized also for its being too costly due to their focus on solitary confinement. No, ang Pennsylvania system naman is they criticize because they only focus their attention on their solitary confinement. No, by the way guys, you were mas madali nyo di-differentiate yung dalawang system through alamin nyo lang kung ano yung mga ginagamit nila, no, like Auburn, malalaman nyo na it is Auburn system because it is a congregate confinement, and the Pennsylvania system is a solitary confinement. Don't put it into your mind that we discussed earlier that the Auburn system has solitary confinement also, no, pero the Pennsylvania system talaga yung mas may focus sa solitary confinement, although the Auburn system uses solitary confinement also, but it is for their prisoners lang, no, for the convicts they use that solitary confinement, but the Pennsylvania system focuses only on solitary confinement. So that are their differences. So Captain Lenz adapted Auburn system to run in Sing Sing prison. No? So Captain Lenz, the warden in Sing Sing, he chooses the Auburn system to lead in Sing Sing prison. No? So aside from what do we call this? Those walking in a lockstep, rules in Auburn system, and stripes uniform. There are other punishment the Auburn system has. It is the iron cage, the water torture, and a dark cell. Now, so what are these punishment? The iron cage. No, so the bars of the iron cage being placed on the inmate's head point to an overly large wall clock that dwarfs the other objects in the illustration. No, so the convicts will remain there until they are released to be determined. No, or there are some can no longer stand there. They were going to end their lives there standing. No. Hindi na sila makatiis sa ginawa nila dito, so that the yung iba chooses to end their lives na lang kesa sa pahirapan pa sila, no? And then next is the water torture. Water torture is a prisoner in Sing Sing, New York, having water poured over him by a guard as the punishment, while restrained at the ankles and wrists until he dies. No? And then the next will be dark in cell. The prisoner will stuck inside with no light, no food, and no water. No? So how could you imagine that? No, putting in that cell, no food, no light, and no water. No, so some people will say na that's better to take your breath away than to suffer like this. No, and then the Auburn State Prison located in Auburn, New York, opened in 1816. It established a disciplinary and administrative system based on silence, corporal punishment, and congregate or group labor in architecture and routine. Auburn became the model of the prison throughout the United States. Now, so since Sing Sing prison uses the Auburn system, the United States also adopted this system. No, so it became the model of the prison. No, it became the model of the prison, the Auburn system. No, and it might yung ibang this prison is named from its system. No, the Auburn State Prison. So Sing Sing prison is not only focusing on their punishment, no, but also to their business. No, so the main business of Sing Sing is production. No, Sing Sing has the largest factory in the world, not just in United States, but in the whole world. No, they have the biggest factory. No, the production of the convicts, as I mentioned earlier, they work to have a money for the state, right? And they make different products like they make different products like boots, hats, barrels, carpets, brushes, and even in sophisticated machineries, no, like boilers, no. Some of their products are we are using right, ginagamit natin mula noon hanggang ngayon, no. Nandito pa rin, no, boots, hats, barrels, no, ganon. Hanggang ngayon ginagamit pa rin natin, no. So there were no visitation allowed, not even a letter could be received, no. So it is very useless, no, sa mga family ng mga convicts in Sing Sing prison, no, because very useless na they were going to write a letter for their family member in the prison. Useless lang talaga because hindi nila yun ma-receive. It is not allowed there, no? And you are not being allowed to sing at Sing Sing, no? You don't really hear any noise from the mouth of the convicts because they are not allowed to talk even they are in work. That is also included in the rules of the Auburn system, no? That silence is always observed. Okay, now, so despite of this horrible sound, no, Sing Sing was viewed as the model prison because it turned up the profit immediately, no. The marble Sing Sing prisoners' mine were used for the notable buildings such as the NYU. The first picture, the first photo, that is the NYU, the Grace Church in Manhattan, then the second picture in the middle, and then the New York State Capitol building in Albany, the third picture, no. The convicts are the one who built it with the use of the Sing Sing marbles, no, or the limestones. The Auburn system would be nationally adopted and become known as the New York system, no. So this is what I told you earlier, no, na malalaman natin kung ano yung New York system, no. So the New York system naging New York system ito dahil sa Auburn system, no, and it is adopted nationally and become the New York system, no. It is applied to all the prisons in New York, no. That's why it is called the New York system. And also Sing Sing made history in other ways, no, not just focuses on their system, on the building of their system. They make different kind of buildings, no. They build also the first women penitentiary was opened there as in 1839, no, and it was called Mount Pleasant Female Prison, no. So this prison also ay para lang sa mga babae talaga, lahat ng babae, no. They built also a prison for all the girls in New York. So this is how it looks like. The second picture, the black and white, and the first picture, no, I think makikita nyo that, or the first, I think that they were the first women's na convicts, no, first women convicts, no, at sila yung pinakauna na nakatira sa Mount Pleasant Female Prison. So Alexis de Tocqueville, no, he is a notable visitor in Sing Sing prison and an author of Democracy in America. So he is a French he is a what do we call this? Maybe he is a like a reporter or a writer of he is a writer, no. So the French government sent him and custodied in Beaumont to the United States, no, in 1831 to gather information about the American penal system, no. He was very amazed of the total subjugation under which prisoners work and administrative power the warden wielded at Sing Sing. No, when he arrived at the Sing Sing prison, he was amazed of what the offenders did. No, the prisoners, the convicts work to have the to gain money for the state. And then in 1830, Lenz resigned as a warden in Sing Sing and returned to Auburn in 1838. He was asked to leave the prison as a year later after the death of a prisoner who was punished severely for feigning illness. Despite this record, Sing Sing rehired Lenz in 1843 also. So when we say feigning illness, it is a serious mental disorder, no, in which someone deceives other by appearing sick, by purposely getting sick, or by self-injury. No, so these are the common punishment in Sing Sing prison, no. The whipping and floggings are commonplace punishment of the Sing Sing prison, no. So this the picture in the right side, that is what it looks like, and that is how they do the punishment, no. And then the cat o' nine tails, which tipped with metal or barbs. These two picture in the sa ilalim, that is the material they use to punish the person or the convict. So 11 years later, in 1888, New York State was unsearched for more humane method or execution as a result, no. Governor Daniel Hill signed a bill authorizing the use of electric chair, no. The New York was the first state who adopted the electric chair in whole country, and it didn't take long for Sing Sing to turn this legislation into action, no. So in this period, dito na nila na discover the use of electric chair as a punishment. And then in Sing Sing got its electric chair in 1890, and they named it Old Sparky, no. And in July 17, 1891, Harris Miller was the first person executed by the electric chair in Sing Sing, no? But on that day, in that exact date and day, no, Harris Myler wasn't the only person executed by the electric chair, no? There are other four person executed using the electric chair. And by the way, electric chair execution has a schedule, no? It is 11 p.m. at night every Thursday. That is the scheduled time for the electric chair execution. 11 p.m. at night every Thursday. Now, so here are the famous victims of the electric chair execution. First is the Francis Togan Crowley and Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, the second picture. No? So later on, we will know bakit sila in-execute, no? O kung ano yung mga what do we call this? Kung ano yung mga ginawa nila, bakit sila in-execute using the electric chair. Now, so in 1972, the role of death penalty is unconstitutional. No, in 1972, no, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the death penalty is unconstitutional. No, dito na po na-realize that using electric chair to punish convicts is not, I think, parang hindi maganda. No, so Old Sparky or the electric chair was then transferred to Green Haven Correctional Facility and never used again. No, so after the Supreme Court of the U.S. ruled the death penalty is unconstitutional, they then immediately transfer Old Sparky to the correctional facility and never use it again. No, and then executions in Sing Sing prison. Okay, now so executions in Sing Sing prison. In total of 614 men and women, including 4 inmates under federal death sentences, were executed by electric chair at Sing Sing until the abolition of the death penalty in 1972. No? So imagine kung gaano karami yung na-execute using the electric chair. No, up until the abolition of the death penalty in 1972. So imagine if kung hindi yun inabolish, no, I think more than 1,000 pa yung na execute using that electric chair. No, so after a series of escapes from death row, a new death house was built in 1920 and began execution in 1922. High-profile execution in Sing Sing is the electric chair. No, so these are the specific na po ito. Sing Sing prison punishment. No, these are the whipping and flogging using the cat o9, which o9 tails, which tipped with metal or barbs. And second, the iron cage. Third, the water torture. The fourth is the darkened cell. And fifth is the electric chair or the Old Sparky. No? So we already discussed these 5. No? So I will not discuss it again. No? So Sing Sing is something like a nightmare. No? Why? Because lockstep was abolished in 1900s. Striped uniform was also gone in 4 years later. Inmates were gradually permitted freedom such as weekend and recreational activities such as baseball for inmates. Now, so here are the different types of punishment. No, the incapacitation. First is the incapacitation. This is what I mentioned earlier, no, the 5 types of punishment. No? So the first is incapacitation. Incapacitation seeks to prevent future crime by physically moving criminals away from society. Banishment was a common penalty in Antiquity. Later, he was common for colonizing European country to ship convicts and undesirable overseas in modern times. House arrest, incarceration, and the death penalty are all forms of incapacitation. No? So, banishment or putting you in a prison that is far from the locality, no, that is incapacitation. Next is deterrence. Deterrence is the goal of deterrence is to persuade citizens and passible offenders or re-offenders to conform to the rules of law. No, so the rule of this type of punishment is to persuade people to follow the rule and regulation and do not oppose the law. According to the myth and the law explain that 4 types of deterrence are generally recognized. No, so for them, there are 4 types of deterrence. No, the specific deterrence, general deterrence, marginal deterrence, and lastly the partial deterrence. First will be the specific deterrence. It is analyzes how effective punishment is on an individual future behavior. Now, so the purpose of this specific deterrence is they were going to look or observe how effective punishment to the future. No? And that the second type of deterrence will be the general deterrence. It seeks to understand how individual punishment can deter others from committing crime. No? So this general deterrence also seek to understand. Not all people will understand on how individual punishment can deter others from committing crime. The third will be the marginal deterrence. Seek to reconcile how effective different types of punishment are is either specific or general deterrence. The marginal deterrence is seek observing or looking of how effective the specific and the general deterrence, no? And then lastly is the partial deterrence. Refers to situation in which the threat of penalty has some deterrent value even when someone engages in illegal behavior. Now, for example, a criminal simply robbing a victim instead of also causing physical harm. The third will be retribution. It defined as something done to get back at someone or the act of punishing someone for their actions. Punishment inflicted on someone as vengeance for a wrong or criminal act. So in Book of Criminal Law of Lisa M. Storm explained that retribution prevents crime by giving victims or society a certain sense of satisfaction that a defendant has been punished appropriately, reinforcing the belief that the criminal justice system is working effectively, no? So according to Lisa M. Storm, retribution can prevent crime through giving the people satisfactions, no? Or what do we call this? Hayaan sila na gawin kung ano yung ikakasaya nila, no? And then the fourth is rehabilitation, focused on helping criminals and prisoners overcome the barriers that lead them to committing criminal acts. This includes developing occupational skills as well as resolving psychological issues such as drug addiction and aggression. Now, so rehabilitation is very common to us, no? Especially to those people who are drug addicts, nor they really need to go to rehabilitation center for their rehab, no, to maintain para po mabalik kung ano yung dati nilang pag-iisip, no, and also to get back on their behaviors. The last one will be the restoration. The goal of restoration is for the offender to make direct amends to both the victim and the community in which the crime was committed. During the process of restoration, victims initiate a process in which both they and the offender meet to share feelings and concern. No, so from the word restoration, to restore, para ibalik, no, the offender to make direct amends of both victim and community in which the crime was committed. So next is the age of enlightenment. In 18th century is a century of change. It is the period of recognizing human dignity. It is the movement of reformation, the period of introduction of certain reforms in the correctional field by certain person, gradually changing the old positive philosophy of punishment to more humane treatment of prisoners with innovational programs. So in this period, age of enlightenment, it focuses on improving the prison for the offenders to be comfortably housed inside the prison, no? And then the personalities behind correctional institution. Personalities behind correctional institution. First will be Cesar or Cesar Beccaria. In full name is Cesar Bonisana Marquez de Beccaria, or born in March 15, 1738 in Milan, Italy, and died in November 28, 1794 in Milan, Italy also. An Italian criminologist and economist whose De Delite e del Pini in 1764, For Crimes and Punishment in 1880, was celebrated volume and the reform of criminal justice. Second personality is Marquez of Beccaria Bonicia, or Beccaria Cesar Bonicena Marquez of 1738 to 1794, Italian economist and proponent of judicial reform. Cesar Beccaria was the author of the most infamous Italian work of enlightenment on crimes and punishment in 1764. The book on crimes and punishment combines elements from social contract theory with utilitarian positions. It touches on many aspects of law and justice in a rapid, impassioned style, completely abjuring legal technicalities. No, so this book, nakalagay na dito ang all about punishments in crimes, no? And third is Cesar Lombroso, described as the father of modern criminology. Cesar Lombroso theory of the born criminal dominated thinking about criminal behavior in the late 19th and early 20th century. November 6, 1835, October 1909 was the founder of the Italian school of positivist criminology. Fourth will be the William the Conqueror. William I, or by name William the Conqueror, or William the Bastard, or William of Normandy, or in French it is Guillaume le Conquérant, or Guillaume le Bastard, or Guillaume de Normandy, born in 1028, Felice and Normandy. No, so one of the greatest soldiers and rulers of the Middle Ages. He made himself the mightiest noble in France and then changed the course of England history by his conquest of the country. Next is Enrico Ferri. Ferri was born in Lombardy in 1856 and worked first as a lecturer and later as a professor of criminal law. Having spent time as a student of Cesar Lombroso, while Lombroso researched anthropological criminology, Ferri focused more on social and economic influences in the criminal and crime rates, introduced the law of saturation, society can tolerate only a number of delicts. The sixth personality behind correctional institution is Clifford Shaw. Clifford Robb Shaw in 1895 to 1957 was an American sociologist and criminologist. He was a major figure in the Chicago School of Sociology during the 1930s and 1940s, and is considered to be one of the most influential figures in American criminology. Next is Alexander Maconochie, father of parole. Introduced a progressive humane system of substitute for corporal punishment known as the mark system, where a prisoner is required to earn a number of marks based on proper department, labor, and study in order to entitle him to a ticket of leave or conditional release, which is similar to parole. He developed the forerunner of modern parole, developed a 5-step procedure. He could a mark system. Prisoners could progress through these stages, eventually earning full freedom. Next is Alexander Maconochie's steps were strict custody or solitary confinement, labor and government work, gangs or groups, and limited areas for freedom, tickets of leave for conditional release or parole, and full freedom. That's all about my report, the history, philosophy, and objective of imprisonment and development of prison. So I hope you learned something from that. So see you next time, guys. So thank you and God bless.